thing that is only going to matter if the stream is on.
All right. We're
I was
live.
going to talk about these socks. Okay, so these socks are from the Awesome Socks Club, which you can see there. I believe that it is correct on the YouTube channel, even though it's backwards for me. Stephen McCandless, your friend and mine, has gotten me the socks, and I wanted to show you this because I think they're my favorite pair that they have sent so far. As you can see, these nice socks here. On one side, there's a knife. It looks like the knife is strapped to your sock, and on the other side of the other sock, so on the other side of the knife sock, there's nothing, just the straps. On the other side of the other sock, there's a potion. So knife and a potion. Adventuring socks, Ben. It's wonderful.
Nice. I am not wearing awesome socks. I am, in fact, wearing quite comfy socks, which are awesome because it is surprisingly cold here. Cold and rainy.
Really?
Yes, cold and rainy. And it was just a little over 2 weeks ago. It was 90 degrees here.
And how cold was it today?
I think it got up to 40.
Wow.
To 40 degrees.
It is currently, as I talk to you, 71 degrees here in Illinois.
It is 43 degrees and raining right now.
Wow.
Yeah, so... and yeah, like two and a half weeks ago, it was 90 degrees. And so, Paul, you've lived in this area. You know how temperate it used to be here, where we didn't have a 2-week swing between a 90-degree day and a 40-degree day.
Yeah, exactly.
But
it was crazy.
That seems to be our new normal. At least the smoke has left. There's that. If there's any solace we can take from the cold temperatures, is that people can breathe again.
Hey, Betty. My kid, Betty, you might have heard, said, "Hey, Dad." And I
did
didn't
not
listen.
I was talking.
And now, yes, Betty, what's up? You want to walk after this? For our stupid mental health? We'll see. Probably. That means yes, by the way.
Going for a walk is good for your mental health.
I know. So you might have noticed I moved the light. And now you can see my face better.
Oh, I can also see the ceiling fan better as well.
Yeah. One might even say that maybe having the light on the ceiling fan makes this a less enjoyable experience for the people watching. But as fans would say, who cares?
It just
Not
feels
me.
like we are sitting in your lap like a baby, staring up at you in the ceiling, waiting to be fed.
I had the dog on my lap and I was chewing on his ear, just like that.
Okay.
And Betty looked at me and said, "Did you do that to me when I was a baby?" And I had to think about it. And I wasn't positive. Jennifer, can you hear me? Jennifer? Did I used to chew on the baby? Okay. There you go. I used to chew on the baby. So, mystery solved.
Used to chew on the baby.
Are you looking it up on Google? Because I don't think it's.
No, I'm writing it in the show notes.
All right.
I write down our topics as we speak of them. That way, I don't have to re-listen to the show.
And let me say this: the chewing on both the dog and the baby are non-harmful. They're
that's what you think.
Yeah, exactly.
Mr. Scarring your baby for life with marshmallows.
Yeah. Who knows? Yeah. For those who haven't listened, but listen to any one of a certain percentage.
348 episodes.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. We're almost there where you could listen to an episode a day for a year and not be finished.
We should mark that in some way. I don't know how. I'm annoyed today, more so than usual. I have lost the cap to a Sharpie, which
Oh,
means
no.
this Sharpie is now going to dry up and be useless.
That is too bad for sure. Hey, are you familiar with the British TV show Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared?
I have never heard of it.
Well, it has basically three main characters, and Betty and I were watching it, and we tried to decide which of us was which of the main characters. The main characters are a yellow guy who's dumb, a red guy who's kind of normal, and a green duck who's bossy and kind of opinionated.
I'm getting the impression this is a cartoon.
It's not, it's a puppet show. But you were close.
It's a puppet show. Okay.
And the yellow guy and the red guy the yellow guy and the duck are kind of Muppet types. The red guy is a dude who's wearing a masky kind of thing. But anyway, the basic thing that ended up happening was that we came to the consensus that I am the dumb guy. Edward, what do you have there? Edward, what is that, pal? Betty, find out what Edward has.
Lupus.
What is that? What is it? Okay, give it back to him. You can have it. Edward has a wadded up piece of bread.
I am a generous god.
And Ben, as you might probably be aware, I am doing my very, very, very best to not just talk about AI art from the beginning of the podcast to the end of it.
So tell me. So actually, are you done talking about "Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared"? So you're the big dumb guy.
Oh, I'm the dumb guy. Betty has decided that Mom, Jennifer Pratt, is the duck, which I think kind of works. And then that would by default make her the red guy. And she mentioned, this isn't to say that you're dumb. It's just that we have to pick those categories. And it made me think of something which I was just going to let you know. This person did this comic book about the Wizard of Oz, and in it there were, how, I don't know if you remember, but comic books used to have like musings of the people who are writing the comic books, letters to the editor kind of thing. There used to be
Excelsior.
Not a social media kind of thing, but sort of a hey, this is us and we're talking as people kind of things. The person who did the Wizard of Oz mentioned that in their opinion, any group of 4 people would gravitate to roles that any other 4 group of people had. And so what they were saying was that the Wizard of Oz, Dorothy, the Lion, the Scarecrow, and the Tin Man matched up with the Beatles. And they were like, "This is who they are," and all that. And so
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as well.
Yeah.
They fit into that 4 stereotype or archetypes.
So here's my question, Ben. If you were going to put the Beatles into, and I'll let you choose, Wizard of Oz or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, who would be what? I'll tell you what. Let me do Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Beatles. You're more of an expert on the Beatles, but let me try it, and you tell me if I'm right or not.
All right. And I got to tell you, I'm not that familiar with the roles of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Well, it's okay, though. You watched the cartoon at one point in time, whatever.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it, but
I think there is one that's a solid lock, and then we have to figure out the other ones. George Harrison is Donatello. Am I right?
Well, see, which one is Donatello? What's his characteristic?
The one with the bow staff.
What's his character? Because there's the goofy one. There's like
he's
the tough
tech
one.
Guy. He's the tech guy. He has the purple bandana in most of the variations. Maybe we should pick a different group of 4 people.
I could probably do the Beatles into Wizard of Oz better than I can.
Okay,
Teenage
let's do that
Mutant
one.
Ninja Turtles.
Is Paul Dorothy?
So Dorothy, well, I mean, if you want to say the Dorothy is the cute one, but you gotta consider, is Dorothy the leader or is Scarecrow the subdued leader? Because
I would say
Dorothy and Scarecrow are either Paul and John or John and Paul.
really. I think Dorothy would be Paul and the Scarecrow would be John if we're doing it that way.
Okay, so
Ringo
Dorothy,
would be the lion,
Ringo,
and then
and George Harrison would be the Tin Man,
yeah, easy. We got it.
and Brian Epstein is the wizard.
Solved.
The man
Let's
pulling
see.
all the
Hold on.
strings.
Okay, the free associating white guys. You, me, Stephen McCandless, and Joseph Krebs.
Isn't Rick Miller in there somewhere?
Oh, geez, I think Rick Miller is Stuart Sutcliffe.
Not the Pete Best.
Oh, well, I don't know enough of that. But I just remember that when the term was coined, it was the four of us were in the room at the time.
God, Joseph was part of that.
Yeah. I think Rick. Here's the thing: Rick fits the spirit more. But when the term was coined, he was there.
Those are bygone days.
Yeah.
20 years ago.
So
that was
20 years ago. Who's who in that though? That's the hard part.
I'd say I'd call Stephen the John because he's the more philosophical one.
Hmm.
I
want to think that I'm the Ringo, but I don't know.
I was just gonna say I'd call myself the Ringo because I just kind of hang out in the back and be quiet.
That's us, Ben. A couple of Ringos.
You're just a couple of Ringos, you are.
Okay. Well, who would I be then if you're a Ringo?
You're probably the George. And so Joseph would be the Paul.
Yeah, which kind of works out. I think that makes a lot of sense. And so if we were to swap out Joseph for Rick, would Rick be the Paul also, or would Rick all of a sudden get the John role and then then Steve would be the Paul?
Would he get the John role? I mean, he fits the John archetype,
right?
As like a creative musician. But he's also, I think Rick has a spiritual side that fits him more into the George persona.
Huh, that's really interesting. Okay. All right. I think this is good. I think this is working out. So the big thing, of course, is then we go into Wizard of Oz and do our Wizard of Oz types matchup. I think I'm the Scarecrow. I want to say, which would then automatically mean that our Beatles and our, because that's the thing.
Right.
I think that this is the thing, is that there's not always a correlation when you.
Yeah, it doesn't translate.
I feel like I'm the Scarecrow, clumsy.
I don't know. I kind of, for whatever reason, for some reason, I kind of want to slide you into the Cowardly Lion role. I don't know why.
Oh, that works. That works. I mean, if nothing else,
be
because
hair,
the fuzziness and the hair. Oh, but yeah. That's good. That's good.
And how you often claim you do believe in spooks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty lady.
Oh boy. Yeah. So
that's not problematic these days.
Let's talk about the fun that is happening right now. Something has occurred in. Oh, I was going to say Mid-Journey, but when I heard mid, but I was going to say, there's something I have to talk to you about after the podcast that I can't talk about on the podcast. It's fine. No one's dying or anything.
Is it going to take a long time? CBS is going to be here at 5:30.
No. It'll be like a 1 minute thing. It's just something that I was about to say. And I'm like, don't know if I can say that. So here's the thing that happened. Are you familiar, Ben, with that picture that I think was in National Geographic, I want to say, of the Afghan woman with the green eyes that was popular for a while.
Yeah.
All right. So
Very
Midjourney has a
famous
version
snap.
4 that is going to be coming out. And version 4 is known and famous, and people are looking forward to it because it is making some very realistic people. If you remember when way back when, how long ago was the Annex games thing?
Which
Not
one?
that long ago.
The,
Sorry, the one that we did, the role playing game one.
well, episode the
D&D.
first the first
The first
part
the
the first part of the first campaign was about this time last year, I want to say. But then it
yeah.
bled into say March, I want to think.
So remember if you will the slides that we made of
Yeah.
different people and stuff like that. Not very realistic, very, oh, that's interesting kind of, but not looking like super. Right now, version 4 uh has made like there are pictures of Walter White from Breaking Bad that look like a photograph, right? But the big thing is that someone ran across, so these are all, if I can if this makes sense, they're they're images that the model has produced. The model has not been exported yet. Like you can't use it yet, right? But the company can use it. And hey, Jennifer, 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 you're pugging. You're pugging. Okay, so
Hugging?
yeah, it's a thing. Um so the basic thing is that the version 4 is able to produce things that are very realistic, and someone, when they were going through these things that the people who designed it exported from the tool, right? They made a whole bunch of pictures and said, we would like you to vote on whether or not you like this picture. Vote 1 to 4, 4 if you really like it, 1 if you don't like it at all, that sort of thing. And someone in the feedback channel posted a picture that was 4 images of the picture with the Afghan woman with the green eyes. There were a quad of pictures that were produced, and looking at those 4 pictures, not a single one of them was that picture, right? But if you saw them by themselves, you wouldn't necessarily know that. You wouldn't know that it wasn't that picture. Does that make sense?
Because they're so real. They're so realistic.
They're so realistic, and they're in the same style of that picture and the same subject matter of that picture. And people were concerned, and they
Losing
said,
their minds.
I know that this picture looks like this other picture, but I don't know if I would recognize every picture that this produced. How will I be able to use these pictures commercially and not be sued by someone who has a picture that looks like it? Right?
A
That's the
conundrum.
that's the main concern. And the basic thing that I said was, it's kind of like saying, hey, if I Photoshop or photocopy this image at Kinko's and make a digital copy of it, I think that probably violates copyright. And I don't know if I could, the basic idea is that you're using a tool that makes photorealistic images. You won't be making, because of the way that the tool works, you won't be making those exact images. But the idea that you will never come up with an image that looks like someone else's image, to the extent that they will try to sue you, is ridiculous, because people try to sue people all the time already for stuff that they draw,
Welcome
right?
to
For
America.
stuff that they, yeah, exactly. So So no, you won't have a guarantee. And a lot of people were freaking out about that. And they're like, well, I don't think this should be released then. And it's like, don't don't use it commercially
Well,
if you're
yeah.
concerned.
But somebody's going to. You know, somewhere in some ad agency somewhere, some creative designer is going to get strapped for time, and he's not going to be able to book a space. And but his director is going to be like, "I want a blonde woman sitting on a stool in front of a garden,"
Well,
for this product.
this is the thing. Ben has okay. Now I don't want to get you in trouble. I don't think I will. I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions.
It's a bit late for
Videos
that.
videos that you make. Remember that time in 2004? No. The videos that you make
Yeah.
for companies. Do you have an account with, say, a video like a royalty-free thing where you can go onto that account, pick something that you like, and download it from them to use in your video?
Yeah, you buy the license.
Yeah. So they already have that for pictures, right?
Yeah.
Um,
And video and music.
what we ran into while we were talking about this are a couple of articles from people who work for websites. And this is important. They work for websites that they say are not profit websites. They're just travel sites and stuff. I personally would like to see if they have maybe ads on it, because as long as you have an ad, you can say we don't make any money off this site, we don't sell anything. But if you have an ad, you could say that they're making revenue. So anyway, but in it, they talk about how they have a budget for print photographs, but one of their copywriters did a Google image search and drew and just got an image of, like, I think it was Duluth or something like that, and put it on an article about things to do when you're in Duluth. And there are people, patent trolls, what patent trolls are? They're image trolls as well, who just scour the web to find out where their stuff is being used, and they sued. And I want to make sure that I do this because this is the mistake that I just did. They threatened to sue, then this is important, threatened to sue the website for violating their copyright, and they said we want $8,000. And in this article, they said that they consulted a lawyer pro bono. The lawyer suggested that they make them an offer, and they talked them down eventually to $3,000. So they spent $3,000. And the reason I mention all that is that the folks who were like, I'm afraid to use this commercially because what if something like that happens to me? And the point that I wanted to make to them is something like that can happen to you no matter how good the image is, right? Like, all you need is somebody who's willing, has the time and the money to go, hey, you violated my copyright, even if you didn't, and threaten to take you to court and accept less than it would cost you to hire a lawyer to fight it, and then you give them that money and they go away. The basic thing is that what people don't seem to understand is that you can be sued by someone with a lot of money as a hassle for them to extort money from you. So even if you're in the clear, even if you haven't violated the copyright, it's just like if I'm not a gambler, right? But I've heard about this, and you might have experienced this, or you might have seen this, where you're playing poker with someone, right? And the guy who's playing poker has more money than you, and so he just bets more than he knows that you can pay, so that you fold, or whatever. Same sort of thing. So that's the story of the day, is people are concerned that it's too good and that they're going to get sued because it will make something that is good enough that someone else will think that they copied their actual photograph.
It's gonna be a messy future if we have one. Something
Yeah.
similar as far
If we have
as,
one is great, by the way.
something similar as far as a copyright troll happened to me recently. I've been racking my brain trying to
Really?
come up with the specifics. Yeah, it was. I wish I could remember what video it was. I used a bit of content. I think it was a piece of music that I bought. Don't
Yeah.
think of me doing anything illegal. I bought this piece of music from like Audio Jungle or something to use in a video. Used it in a video and realized that that video received a copyright strike on YouTube. And I looked into it, and I'm like, when YouTube gives you a copyright strike, or not a strike, a copyright claim, it says,
Yeah.
so you've used this bit of content in your video. We've identified this little section. It'll tell you exactly which section it sees this video in. And in this case, it was a piece of music. And it says, nothing's going to happen to your channel. This isn't a strike against your copyright. We are going to place an ad on it, and the ad revenue on your video is going to go to the copyright holder. And the copyright holder is this. And I looked this guy up, and it was a guy, and he's like, I Googled him, and it turns out that he is a Instagram bodybuilder influencer. And so what happened was this dude probably went through and just bought up a whole bunch of intellectual property rights and set his people out to just make claims on a bunch of content where this stuff was used to get that ad revenue. So what I eventually did was I just deleted my video.
Yeah, and that's what I think people are going to do. Now, one of the things that's interesting is that in the case of the picture thing, right? They took the picture off the website, and they said it doesn't matter if you took it off, you had it for a while, and you still lost money. The interesting thing about the thing that you just said is because I ran into something very similar to that when I was reading about all the other stuff. And here's one thing that has happened already to some people. So you bought that audio clip from, what was it called?
There's a
Audio
site
Jungle?
called audiojungle.com, yeah.
So somebody else might have bought that same clip from audiojungle.com, put like a drum beat behind it, and said, this is now my song.
Yeah.
And so what you're actually violating is not the clip you got from Audio Jungle, but this other clip that you share with this thing. But because this thing is now under copyright, it's thinking that you've ripped off the entire song because it thinks that hook that you used is from their song, not that they licensed it from somewhere else. So it's really confusing, right? And the reason I bring this up is because people are afraid of the same thing with the image thing, right? You make an image on Midjourney. I make an image on Midjourney. Midjourney is pulling elements from, our prompts and making kind of the same thing, but it's not something that you saw me do, right? And it's not something that you made. It's something that this thing that we're both buying something from, or we're not even buying it, but you know what I mean? It's just this thing generating. It's the same thing. That's the problem with audio clips now, is that the pieces of it aren't being tracked, right? So the part of the clip that is his song isn't being tracked all the way back to Audio Jungle.
Yeah.
It can just be a copyright claim on his song. So people are talking about, and blockchain, all that sort of stuff. People are talking about having provenance, fingerprints for images, for videos, for things like that, so that the origin of it can go all the way back to that original piece. And again, that thing that Stephen has linked before, the who sampled thing. That's what it's kind of built on. It goes all the way back to the original.
it's enough to make me just want to stop being a content creator, move
Yep.
to a cabin in the woods in Canada, and live out the rest of my life.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. And the thing that people don't recognize, and I understand it, and I know that you understand it because you're in the same kind of business. You and I, both performance artists and all that. Um, our pieces are really nothing special without the audience that watches them and appreciates them, if that makes sense. Like, otherwise it's just two guys being weird in a oh, two guys being weird in a room. The GudeLaurance story that just came to me. It's just two guys being weird in a room, right? That's not. I mean, sometimes Annex Improv was almost that, but without the audience, the audience is necessary for art to happen. I guess is what I'm thinking. And somebody said if the AI didn't have input from people, because there's this big debate, you know about it already. I talk about it all the time. Is typing something in Midjourney art? Because people are trying to copyright the prompts that they have. And
Jesus
somebody actually said this, and if you're watching and you're this person, the chances are low, but they're like, I did a prompt, Victorian Gothic dress, and then all these other people started using it. And I'm like, get some creativity, you guys. Think of your own thing. And I'm like, that's 3 words.
Right.
Victorian
It's a
Gothic
password.
dress. Yeah. You are not the first person to think about that. And someone was like, okay, well, what if the AI just generated this on its own, didn't have any human input? Would that still be art? And my thought is it would be once I looked at it and appreciated something about it that the AI couldn't. Garfield minus Garfield, right? That's a human invention. That's really funny and all that. Um, there's a thing that said I did a New Yorker cartoon, a New Yorker style cartoon, and the prompt I used was, I've decided to replace your mother with a robot. Or no, it's I just replaced your mother with a robot and you're next.
Did you
Right?
just
It was
call the caption for a cartoon a prompt?
a prompt. So I wrote that cap. So all right. I fed 2 images in to the thing. So you can put 2 images in, it picks like elements that it likes about those 2 things, and then it puts out something. So I put in a cartoon that I drew and a picture of a robot, and it made a cartoon of a guy and a robot and a kid, right? Guy, robot, and kid. Now, the other thing that you can do then is you can remix a prompt. And that means that it takes that image that you made and it makes another image off of that, but uses the text that you put in as a way to change it. So for instance, I could have a picture of a pine tree, right? And I type in office building. And what it'll do is it'll make an office building in the shape of that pine tree, as an example. Or it might make an office building with a pine tree on top of it. Or it might, it somehow incorporates the thing. So into this, I replaced your mother with a robot and you're next, right? So that's my little prompt. That's my little joke. I re-roll it, and the AI spits out a man who's a robot next to a boy who's a robot. And the man who's a robot says to the boy who's a robot, I just replaced your mom with a robot and you're next. And the thing that struck me about that, the thing I thought was funny, was that, so obviously in this world, what happened was the guy has already replaced his son and himself with robots, but they don't realize it. That's some Philip K. Dick stuff. It's funny. The
That's a way
AI
to
didn't come
interpret
up with that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I interpreted it that way.
Yeah.
And so I think that our interpretation of pictures, we don't think about it as much, but it contributes to the art of it. And I
Yeah.
think about the
I mean,
movies that we used to
just
go
li-
and see.
like that goes back to your phrase, two guys being weird in a room. You need someone to interpret it being weird. Otherwise, it's just two guys in a room.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we could both think it's weird, but are we not observers?
We are in this case we are not the observers. We are the art.
Oh man,
Did you screw it up again, Paul?
Well, it constantly goes to sleep on me. I don't know why, and so I never know if the audio is still recording. It is. Hey Betty, could you do me a favor and shut the door to the house?
The front door?
Shut the front door. Yes. Hey Betty. That's what people say sometimes instead of swearing. Betty's waiting. But the basic idea is still there, kind of, that you could have, and I bring this up. I have brought this up previously in these channels. I don't know if I've mentioned it to you, but the surrealists, right? Exquisite Corpse. Have you seen that or played that before?
Yeah.
You take a piece of paper, you fold it, you draw a picture on part, you draw a picture on part, and then it comes up with this weird thing.
Yeah.
Cut-up technique in literature, things like that. There are practices that have been created to remove the human element from art creation, or at least to increase the randomness of it. And so that's kind of how I view this. Is a person responsible for the art that was created? This is the thing that I think about. Would I, Paul Goody, be able to redraw the art that I'm making with Midjourney? No, it is beyond my skill to recreate that. Could someone recreate that? Yes. A better artist than me could do that. Now, I can draw some things that other people can't draw, right? But there are people who can draw things that I can draw and more, right? So there is a range of artistic ability and all that. So the question, is writing a prompt an act of creation? Is it something you can copyright? I don't know. I'm thinking it's pretty low on the scale of things. Did I mention already that I found giraffe and elephant in the list of training prompts?
Yes, you mentioned that.
So the thing that has garnered me is whenever I'm arguing with people about this stuff, and they say, well, you wouldn't feel that way if your stuff was in there. It's like, well, actually, I would. Shutterstock is now going to be offering the thing. I mentioned this before. You can pay them to generate AI art, but you can't sell your AI art on there. Yes. So it's a weird kind of double standard. I feel like this stuff is going to get, like, we're in a strange golden age. We're in the Paul's Boutique era, where samples don't cost anything yet. And eventually, I think that's what's going to happen, is that, it's like electrical wiring follows kind of the rules of plumbing, because lots of times the people who are doing the electrical wiring were plumbers. So you put wires in conduit, for instance, just like they're pipes, like they're water going through pipes. The same exact thought
path of least resistance.
The idea that electricity flows like water, it doesn't exactly do that, but it's a good metaphor, especially for the people who, again, we're putting this stuff in.
I mean, if you only know electricity by watching television and movies, you would think electricity flows really slowly. Just because, like, if you turn a light switch on in a large warehouse, the lights pop on one by one by one as it gets further away.
That's
and they
true.
Make a loud noise.
So the fun part that we're all going to experience eventually is not when artists are replaced by AI. That I'm bored with that already. That's one, it's not really going to happen, right? Because in order for it to happen, well, you know this, you're a videographer, right? Let's say that there's a thing where you can type in I want a video about my timeshare hotel, right? And you hit record, and it makes a video little animation about your timeshare hotel or whatever. What is the thing that happens when your client views a video that you make? What normally happens afterwards? So they go, thanks for the video, I'm going to go ahead and put this on the internet right away. Or does something else happen?
They usually have notes.
They have notes. And right now, the AI, well, like give me a note. I'll do this example. Give me a note that you might get, or what's one of the most common notes that you get from somebody?
Can we make this shorter?
And by this meaning the video itself or the
Yeah. Remove
Okay.
this section and move this section over to here.
Okay, you say remove this section, move this section over to here, right?
Yeah.
Imagine, if you will, it says, great, I'll do that. And what you get is a video with a completely different actor and a completely different accent and a completely different picture of what the house looks like,
Right.
and all that. And then you say, okay, here you go.
This is not what I signed off on before.
And it's the change that you wanted. The change that you wanted is there. They're like, well, what's wrong now? And you're like, well, the guy's different, right? And so,
Also, you want a new guy.
So you want they say, I want the old guy back, right? So you go back, and then it's the old guy again, but instead of talking about timeshares, he's talking about cooking, or whatever. This is what we're talking about. That right now, if you have a note like I would like the balloon to be blue instead, you will get a blue balloon, but it'll be a totally different clown, and they'll be at a different looking circus and all that kind of stuff.
A totally different clown, the GudeLaurance story.
Ah, yes. I do like two guys being weird in a room. I think that's just great. So anyway, that's not, and people are like, well, just wait. And it's true. The amount that has happened within a year is astounding. Eventually what's going to happen, though, in my opinion, I could be totally wrong, as always, but we
do like to keep it wrong here.
AI is not going to replace the artists. Artists are going to take the AI and use it themselves. If it really becomes that easy, if it becomes that easy where you just say to the video, hey, take this thing and move it over here, some guy down the street who has never done video before, but who now can because they're just telling AI to do it, they aren't going to be the videographer anymore. They aren't going to take over your job. You're just going to use the tool that they can use.
Right. Well,
because
I mean,
if anybody can use it.
It sounds like a lot of the people on these discussion boards are sort of being, I don't know, hyperbolic about how AI is going to take over the artists, and like how easy is it, or do you feel you can convince the people to be like so what you're saying? No, artists are just going to use this tool. This tool isn't going to replace the artist.
Right. I'll ask you this, Ben, and I already know the answer, but I'm going to ask you anyway because it's fun. Your job as a videographer, how much of your job is editing a video together?
How much
if
of
all
it?
if all you had to do was edit videos together, if that was your only job as a freelance videographer, is to record and cut video, how much of that is your total time that you spend doing your job?
Well, it varies. There's no answer to that.
The reason I mentioned this is this: the people who are like, well, I can do this. I can make an image. I can make an image with Midjourney, and it looks better than anything that you've done. The job is not the making of the image. The job is getting the client, making the image, getting the client to accept the image, getting the client to pay you.
Right.
And the making of the image is, I mean, it's a large percentage, maybe 50%. maybe 75, depending on the thing. But that other 25% is very important. And
The admin
people,
part of being an artist.
yeah, people just getting into it because now they can make pretty pictures aren't going to know that part right away.
Well, it's going to be funny, too, because this happens to every creative when they become freelance. They don't realize they need to pay taxes. And I'm just waiting for all these new freelance AI artists. I'm like, wow, I had a really good year. I made $35,000. And then now the government
Yeah.
tells me I owe them $10,000. What? That's not fair. I
Yep.
have to pay it all now?
I have to pay Social Security for myself. I need health care for me. What?
Right.
So that all that, right?
That would sting
But-
less if your tax bill also covered your health care.
Yeah.
Which you are forced to pay.
So this is the other fun thing that I thought of though. In the end, it's not going to replace. It's going to add new people to the workforce, right? New people playing this same game. What AI eventually is going to do, and what Disney and folks like that are probably afraid of, it's going to replace the people that are paying the artists right now. It's going to no one's going to go to the movies anymore if they can just type, make me a movie where Drew Barrymore is fighting dinosaurs on the back of a motorcycle, and you can just watch that. It'll just generate it, and you'll be able to watch it.
That'll be
People will
great.
just stay home and watch that instead of.
I think there's going to be, when genetically modified foods came out, there was this big push to label non-GMO foods as such. I think that there's going to be a big push where all of the images you see in this movie are human generated.
Right. Or the opposite. Whenever you watch America's Most Wanted or Unsolved Mysteries or whatever, reenactment, little on the bottom, there will be a little note that says AI generated in the bottom of everything that's AI generated. That I'm almost positive.
Just as a quick aside about Unsolved Mysteries, a show I loved, by the way, as a kid with Robert Stackhouse, and there's a new version of it with the same producers on Netflix, but it doesn't have Robert Stack, so it doesn't have quite the same feel.
Yeah.
However, there are a number of instances where actors who recreated, who were in reenactments on things like Unsolved Mysteries and America's Most Wanted were actually turned in by people who saw the show and were arrested because they thought they found this person, which technically they did.
I had a friend who had that happen to him a couple times.
Oh, really?
Yep. One of the big things that we would do that he would do at parties is we would be like, let's watch the Unsolved Mystery clip again, and so we would watch it. And that was a thing. But yeah, apparently, I don't know if anyone actually got him arrested, but people would do double takes and
it's
come up and confront him sometimes and stuff like that.
Which,
like,
I mean,
where do I know you from? Or they'd be scared. One of the two.
It's interesting because I watched Unsolved Mysteries a lot as a kid. I doubt, even if I saw one of those actors the next day, that I would remember that person was in, a reenactment on a TV show that I just passively watched the night before.
It'll just be eerie. You'll just know that you've seen them from somewhere, but you won't know where. Because I think he got shot. Also, that was the other thing, is I'm almost positive he got shot.
In the reenactment or in real life?
In the reenactment, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no. If he got shot in real life, I would.
It wasn't me!
Hopefully, no. It is funny. I was about to say, I don't know anyone who's gotten shot in real life. Incorrect. I do know someone who got shot.
You do know somebody who's probably listening to this and texting to both of us right now.
Exactly. Has anyone been texting us? Has anyone been listening?
Nobody's been listening, or at least I can't. YouTube does this stupid thing where there are zeros across the board. However, in the average view duration counter, it says 49 minutes. And so I don't know
Is
what
it
that.
you?
I mean, why is it counting me?
I don't know. It could be. It could be, is what we're saying.
I mean, that
But
would just be like if somebody tuned in right at the beginning and just kept it on. It's not the back end of YouTube. At least it shouldn't be.
the back end of YouTube, the GudeLaurance. No. So here's I reinstalled YouTube. You know how I don't have any social media things. I don't know if YouTube really counts as social media. It sort of is.
It actually does.
I have
It's
I have
counted.
Discord. I have Discord on as well because that's what Midjourney runs on.
Yeah.
But in general, I've stayed away from being online. So I do not know if there are any changes to Twitter. Ben, why would there be changes to Twitter? Ben's going to guess the news.
There will be changes to Twitter because our favorite billionaire, Elon Musk, just took it over.
This is what I've heard. Now, those of you who follow our podcast and like Elon Musk will, of course, I don't think we'll be offended. People are adults and all that. But when Elon Musk first said that he was going to purchase Twitter, I thought about it, and this is why. It's because Elon Musk puts a face to a corporate business, right? And I was like, well, I don't know if I want him to have access to all of my data. And of course, who else has had access for it before? Lots of different people. So, but I didn't know their names, so I didn't care. So that's one thing. But so I stopped Twitter right around that time. And I stopped Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, all of the social medias. And so far, I haven't really missed them that much.
Yeah. You're a much happier person because of it.
The TikTok stuff is the stuff that I miss the most. Jennifer will sometimes show me stuff on it. If I had a broken leg and couldn't leave my bed, I would install TikTok in a moment because you really do get a sense of the world from it. But it saps my productivity crazily and gives me a skewed view of the world.
Yeah.
In some ways. So
yeah.
Also, I just don't like how much of my information goes out. Also, you heard the story already about the whole thing about there being a firewall between U.S. and the Chinese branch of TikTok. Like the idea, it's a U.S. company and all that. There was a board meeting. I think I mentioned this before, where they were like, well, the engineers in China can't see this, and one of the engineers in China was like, yeah, we can. We can see all that stuff. And I loved it.
How did they get in the room?
Because it was like, well, it was a conference call. I was saying, yeah, one just appeared. No, but it was great because I was like, engineers are the same the world over. It's wonderful. So let's see. We have
Paul. What do you got going on this week? Let's get real for a moment. I'm not leading up to anything. Just instead of talking about AI art and how engineers are the same the world over, what's on your docket for the week coming up?
So
it is election day.
You and I have already turned in our mail-in ballots. Do we have any plans for this week? Ben is just asking a general question, and I realize that I don't know what I'm doing. I have to ask you because I don't have any plans. Oh yeah, Ben's got a music thing. Other than that, I really measure things out by when I'm doing role-playing game stuff, and now I just have my my D&D group that plays once a month, basically. So a lot of my time is just playing music at home, Here's the big thing. I get enjoyment from doing creative things by myself. So I can play music, I can make my art and stuff like that, and that's really all that I do. I do some chores. I'm really planning on cleaning the basement. I think that might even be this weekend. I need to give it a once over because Edward kind of does what he wants to. Oh, Edward
Uh-oh.
got some teeth taken out.
On purpose?
Yeah, yeah. They were bad. And so his incisors, so he's missing his teeth in the front now.
Oh,
He still
I
has his
bet that's
canines.
adorable.
It is kind of adorable because now his tongue sticks out all the time. Um,
Is he around?
which is
Show him to
hey
us.
Edward, Edward, come here, buddy. Edward, where's my boy? Where's my good boy? Where is he? Where's Edward? Oh, here he is. Hi, buddy. And he's been really good. So, oh look, he's got it in. I don't think I'm going to make him show
No,
his mouth. He doesn't really like to.
he's not looking
But
at the
but
camera either.
yeah, oftentimes his little tongue comes out. Um, but yeah, this is him.
Edward, look
He's
over
feeling
here,
so much better.
Edward.
Look, Edward, it's
Edward,
Ben. Bark at
Edward.
him.
Hi.
Bark at Ben.
Hi.
There he is. Do you see him? What do you think? Yeah, he's not too happy
Yeah.
about it. But
All
yeah,
right.
oh, he's just a little sweetheart, this guy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
but his teeth are the other thing that I need to let you know. His teeth are so white now. They're great.
Did they get brushed?
They really I think is it descaling? Is that what they call? Yeah, it's
Like when you
descaling.
clean your coffee machine.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Ben. So until
Well,
then, I guess keep it
that's
raw.
about our
What about
time
you?
for
What
today.
are you doing?
Oh,
weekend, or-
here at Annex, we're doing a Boggle live stream on Saturday.
Oh,
So
Boggle live stream again. A brilliant
if you
idea by CBS.
if you find this the live stream before Saturday, you can tune in. But if you listen to the podcast on Monday, it'll be too late. But still go to Annex's
Yeah.
YouTube channel. It'll be there. You'll be able to watch it.
It's
You
a
just
great
won't be able to
idea,
affect the game.
and yeah, people can affect the game. It's worth it, and fun and funny.
And everything
So-
benefits the Annex Theater here
Yep.
in lovely Capitol Hill, Seattle.
Does Annex Theater have a Patreon?
Annex Theater does have a Patreon, as a matter of fact.
That is a good thing.
Probably patreon.com/Annex Theater.
Yeah, worth checking out,
Yep.
people. All right. Well,
All right, Paul.
with that,
Hey.
Ben, I'm going to ask you to keep it wrong, my pal.
Keep it wrong, Paul. I'll talk to you next week. And you wanted to say something after the show.
I will, and we'll talk about it after the